Today we summarize the story of Shakti Gawai book The Living in the Light from chapter 16 to 18. Chapter 16, Our Children. In chapter 16 of Living in the Light, titled Our Children, Shakti Gawai delves into the role of children in our lives and how they offer unique opportunities for growth, both for themselves and for their parents or caregivers. The chapter emphasizes that children are not just dependent beings who need guidance but are also spiritual beings with their own paths and purpose. Gawai presents the idea that parenting or working with children offers valuable lessons in trust, letting go of control, and allowing each individual's natural development to unfold. Gawai begins by discussing the common societal view of children, which often places heavy expectations on them to conform to specific roles or achievements. She highlights how parents, consciously or unconsciously, try to mold their children to fit their own ideas of success or happiness. This usually stems from the belief that parents know what is best for their children. However, Gawai asserts that children have their own intuition and wisdom, and the role of adults is not to control their lives but to support and nurture their growth. She urges parents to recognize their children as individuals who are connected to their own higher selves and capable of making decisions for themselves. The chapter stresses the importance of allowing children to express their natural creativity and individuality. Gawai points out that children are born with a natural sense of intuition, curiosity, and creativity. Adults, however, often impose their own fears, limitations, and social conditioning onto children, which can stifle their natural gifts. Gawai believes that rather than imposing rigid structures or ideals, parents should create a space where children feel free to explore, express, and develop in their own unique ways. One of the key lessons Gawai emphasizes in this chapter is the need for parents to let go of control. Many parents try to overly direct or control their children's lives out of fear that they might fail or make mistakes. Gawai suggests that this fear is often a reflection of the parents' own unresolved issues or anxieties. She encourages parents to trust in their children's inherent wisdom and to give them the freedom to learn and grow through their own experiences, including their mistakes. By doing so, children can develop confidence, resilience, and a stronger connection to their inner guidance. Gawai also discusses the concept of parenting as a mirror. She explains that just as all relationships reflect our inner world, the parent-child relationship is one of the most powerful mirrors we have. The challenges, conflicts, and emotions that arise in this relationship often reveal unhealed aspects of ourselves. Gawai encourages parents to use these moments of tension or struggle as opportunities for self-awareness and healing. For example, if a parent becomes frustrated with their child's behavior, it may be an invitation to examine their own fears, insecurities, or need for control. The chapter also touches on the balance between guiding children and giving them independence. Gawai acknowledges that children do need structure, guidance, and boundaries, but these should be provided in a way that respects the child's individuality and supports their natural growth. She advises parents to observe their children closely, listen to their needs, and respond in ways that honor their unique development rather than enforcing rigid rules or expectations. In conclusion, Chapter 16, Our Children provides insights into how children play a vital role in the spiritual growth of both themselves and their parents. Gawai encourages a parenting approach that fosters independence, trust, and creativity. By recognizing children as spiritual beings with their own paths, parents can support their development in a way that honors their individuality while also learning valuable lessons about trust, letting go, and self-awareness. Ultimately, the chapter emphasizes that children offer us a profound opportunity to grow as individuals by reflecting our own inner world and helping us heal and evolve in the process. Chapter 17, Work and Play. In Living in the Light, Chapter 17, titled Work and Play, Shakti Gawai explores the relationship between work and play, emphasizing the importance of integrating both aspects into our lives to achieve balance and harmony. She challenges the traditional notions of work as something arduous and play as something frivolous, advocating for a more holistic approach where work and play complement and enhance each other. Gawai begins by discussing the common perception of work as a necessary burden, something we must do to survive or achieve material success. This perspective often leads to an imbalance where people work excessively, ignoring the importance of relaxation, creativity, and enjoyment. Gawai asserts that this view of work is limiting because it disconnects us from our true selves and the joy that comes from living in alignment with our inner purpose. According to Gawai, work does not have to be something that drains our energy or diminishes our creativity. Instead, she suggests that work can be a form of creative expression and an opportunity to share our unique gifts with the world. When we approach work from a place of joy and enthusiasm, it becomes a natural extension of our being, rather than a chore. Gawai encourages readers to reflect on their relationship with work and consider whether they are following their passion or merely fulfilling societal expectations. The chapter delves into the idea of right livelihood, a concept that refers to engaging in work that aligns with our values and brings us a sense of fulfillment. Gawai emphasizes that when we pursue work that resonates with our true selves, it no longer feels like a burden but becomes an enjoyable and meaningful part of our lives. She suggests that individuals examine their work life and ask themselves whether it reflects their passions, values, and personal growth. If not, she encourages them to explore new paths that align with their authentic selves. Gawai also discusses the importance of play and relaxation, which are often undervalued in modern society. She explains that play is not just for children, it is a vital part of our well-being and creativity as adults. Play allows us to reconnect with our inner child, explore new possibilities, and refresh our minds and spirits. Gawai stresses that by making time for play, we open ourselves to inspiration, creativity, and joy, which can enhance our work and overall quality of life. The chapter highlights the need to balance work and play. Gawai points out that many people fall into the trap of working excessively without taking time to recharge or enjoy themselves. This imbalance can lead to burnout, stress, and a loss of connection with one's inner self. Conversely, some people focus too much on play and neglect their responsibilities, leading to a lack of direction or purpose. Gawai believes that true balance comes from integrating work and play, recognizing that both are essential to a fulfilling life. In her view, the ideal scenario is when work and play become intertwined. When we find joy in our work, it becomes playful and creative, and when we engage in play, it refreshes and energizes us for our work. Gawai encourages readers to shift their perspective on both work and play, seeing them not as opposing forces but as complementary aspects of life that, when balanced, lead to greater harmony and fulfillment. The chapter also touches on the importance of self-awareness in creating this balance. Gawai advises that we regularly check in with ourselves to ensure we are not overworking or neglecting our need for relaxation and enjoyment. By being mindful of how we spend our time and energy, we can create a life that feels more balanced, fulfilling, and in tune with our inner desires. In conclusion, Chapter 17, Work and Play emphasizes that both work and play are essential components of a well-rounded and harmonious life. Gawai encourages us to find joy and fulfillment in our work by aligning it with our true selves and to prioritize play as a way to refresh our creativity and spirit. By balancing work and play, we can live a more integrated and joyful life, where both aspects enhance each other and contribute to our overall well-being. Chapter 18, Money. In Living in the Light, Chapter 18, titled Money, Shakti Gawai explores the complex and often misunderstood relationship between people and money. She explains that money is a form of energy and that our attitudes toward it can greatly influence how we experience abundance, wealth, and financial freedom. Gawai encourages readers to examine their personal beliefs and emotional reactions related to money to create a more balanced and healthy relationship with it. Gawai begins by addressing the common view of money as a source of security and success. Many people are taught to equate wealth with happiness and power, leading them to believe that accumulating more money will solve their problems and bring them fulfillment. However, Gawai argues that this perspective is limited because it places too much emphasis on external resources rather than internal fulfillment. She suggests that while money can provide comfort and opportunities, it is not the ultimate source of happiness or security. True security, she says, comes from within and from being connected to our higher selves and the universe. One of the central themes of the chapter is the idea that money is neutral. It is neither good nor bad in itself, but our attitudes and emotions toward it shape how we interact with it. Gawai explains that money is simply a form of energy that can be used to express our creativity, support our growth, and help others. When we have a healthy relationship with money, we view it as a tool for fulfilling our purpose, rather than something to be feared or worshipped. Gawai goes on to discuss how our early life experiences and societal conditioning influence our beliefs about money. Many people grow up internalizing messages from their families, cultures, or communities that money is scarce, difficult to earn, or even wrong to desire. These subconscious beliefs often lead to patterns of fear, guilt, or anxiety around money. Gawai suggests that to change these patterns, we must become aware of the beliefs we hold about money and consciously shift them to ones that are more empowering. By recognizing that money is abundant and that we are deserving of financial success, we can create a more positive experience with money. The chapter also touches on the spiritual aspect of money. Gawai emphasizes that when we are aligned with our true selves and are following our higher purpose, money tends to flow more easily into our lives. This is because we are operating from a place of trust in the universe's abundance, rather than fear or lack. She suggests that we adopt an attitude of openness and trust, believing that the universe will provide for our needs as long as we are living authentically and with integrity. At the same time, Gawai warns against the dangers of becoming too attached to money or allowing it to dominate our lives. She explains that when we place too much importance on money, it can become a source of stress, conflict, and disconnection from our spiritual selves. Instead, she encourages readers to maintain a balanced approach, where money is respected and used wisely, but not allowed to overshadow more important values like love, creativity, and personal growth. Another important point Gawai makes is about the flow of money. She stresses that money, like energy, needs to circulate freely. Holding onto it too tightly or hoarding it out of fear can block the natural flow of abundance in our lives. Gawai suggests that by giving and sharing money generously, we create a positive cycle of abundance, where what we give comes back to us in various forms. This aligns with the idea of trusting in the universe's abundance and believing that there is always enough to go around. In conclusion, Chapter 18, Money offers a fresh and spiritual perspective on how to approach money. Gawai encourages readers to view money as a neutral form of energy that can be used to support their higher purpose and well-being. By examining and transforming limiting beliefs about money, embracing an attitude of trust and abundance, and allowing money to flow freely, we can cultivate a healthier, more balanced relationship with it. Ultimately, Gawai reminds us that true wealth and security come not from material possessions but from living in harmony with our true selves and the universe. Chapter 19th, Health. In Living in the Light, Chapter 19, titled Health, Shakti Gawai delves into the spiritual and psychological dimensions of health, advocating for a holistic approach to physical well-being. Gawai explains that health is not just about the physical body but also involves our emotional, mental, and spiritual states. She emphasizes the importance of aligning these aspects to achieve true health and healing. Gawai begins by discussing how modern society often focuses exclusively on the physical body when it comes to health, treating symptoms without addressing the deeper causes. Many people rely on medication or medical interventions to fix health issues, without looking at the emotional or psychological factors that may be contributing to their illness. Gawai argues that true health requires a more comprehensive approach, one that looks beyond the physical symptoms and considers the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. She highlights the mind-body connection, emphasizing that our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions can have a profound effect on our physical health. Negative emotions like fear, anger, or stress can manifest as physical ailments if they are not acknowledged and addressed. Gawai encourages readers to pay attention to their emotional state and to recognize the role it plays in their overall well-being. By becoming more aware of our inner world, we can identify and heal the emotional patterns that may be contributing to physical illness. Gawai also explores the spiritual dimension of health, stating that when we are disconnected from our true selves or from a higher spiritual purpose, it can lead to a sense of imbalance that affects our health. She believes that health is a reflection of how well we are aligned with our authentic selves and our life's purpose. When we are living in harmony with who we truly are, we are more likely to experience good health. Conversely, when we are living out of alignment, perhaps by repressing our true desires, working in an unfulfilling job, or staying in unhealthy relationships, it can manifest in physical or mental health issues. One of the key themes of the chapter is the idea of self-healing. Gawai believes that we all have an innate ability to heal ourselves, but we must learn to listen to our bodies and trust our intuition. She explains that the body is always sending us signals about what it needs, and if we pay attention, we can often prevent or heal illness before it becomes serious. Gawai encourages readers to develop a more intuitive approach to health, one that involves tuning into their body's wisdom and giving it what it needs, whether that's rest, nourishing food, emotional expression, or spiritual connection. Another important point Gawai makes is about the importance of balance in achieving and maintaining health. Just as we need to balance work and play, we also need to balance our physical, emotional, and spiritual needs. Overworking or neglecting one area of our lives can lead to stress and illness. Gawai suggests that we regularly take stock of how we are feeling in all aspects of our lives and make adjustments as needed to restore balance. She also touches on the idea that illness can sometimes serve as a wake-up call, pushing us to examine areas of our lives that are out of balance. Rather than seeing illness as something to be feared or fought, Gawai suggests that it can be an opportunity for growth and transformation. By reflecting on the underlying causes of our illness, whether emotional, mental, or spiritual, we can learn important lessons about ourselves and make changes that lead to greater health and well-being. In the final part of the chapter, Gawai talks about the importance of self-care. She explains that taking care of ourselves, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, is not selfish but essential to living a healthy and fulfilling life. She urges readers to prioritize self-care by engaging in practices that nourish their body, mind, and soul. This could involve anything from eating well, exercising, and getting enough rest to meditating, journaling, or spending time in nature. In conclusion, Chapter 19, Health offers a holistic perspective on health, emphasizing the importance of balancing the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects of our lives. Gavai encourages readers to trust their intuition, listen to their body's wisdom, and view health as an ongoing process of self-awareness, balance, and alignment with their true selves. By embracing this holistic approach, we can achieve not only physical health but also emotional and spiritual well-being.